Welcome to the Helloha show. I'm Aubrey,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are so excited to have you here for the sixth episode of the Helloha show, or is it 5.6 episode of the Helloha show? We are so excited to have you here. It's been already I always get into this in the beginning, but it has been, wow, such a journey. And we are so thankful to our incredible fans that we've had you along the way for this. Just our fan base keeps getting like more and more huge. Like everything is blowing up in Aloha Land. And we just can't thank you enough. Thank you for your support. Thank you.
Yes, it means the world to us, and we can't believe our tea time has been like the tea world. We didn't even know about it. They are eating it up. So we have like sometimes what seems like daily conversations in our messages with these random tea lovers, and we're learning a lot. So maybe we can get some of them on the show.
Yeah, that would be great. They're teaching us a lot. And just like a whole new avenue opened up, like this tea community, essentially.
Speaking of.
And just like all these new tea companies that we're talking to, like as of late, it is insane.
Can't keep up.
Like, what do we have? Like Stash, Bigelow, Yogi, Traditional Medicinals, Aldi Banner brand, like to just name a few, and that's not even touching the surface. Tazo from Starbucks. I mean, just the list goes on, and the possibilities with tea are endless for us here at the Helloha show.
All this tea is making me thirsty, so can we do tea time?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm so excited. I love the mug.
Ooh, yeah, first time ever using this mug here live on the Helloha show.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't have a bag today, so I'm a little suspicious.
Interesting.
It looks like white. It smells good. From what I hear, there is a dollop of honey in it.
Ooh, I was going to say it needs a little bit of honey.
Something. Okay, here we go. This is good.
Isn't it very like a relaxing, like...
Relaxing makes me want to guess chamomile, but I would say I'm thinking green and chamomile because of that little spoiler, but maybe
I didn't even mean it. Just like that's the way it makes me feel whenever I drink that tea, and I'm like,
It smells pretty good, and I don't think it's like honey doesn't smell whatever this is bringing out. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like it's fruity, but there's something going on. I rate this right now a 10 out of 10. It's been very...
Wow.
It's been
Is this a very first ever 10 out of 10 rating of tea on the Helloha show? Oh.
I think I gave a 3.5 on one of the cranberry ones. I'm not huge on assuming this is green tea, but it was like 83 today in my hood. And I feel like I was outside a while, so this is like refreshing.
Like kind of like energizing, but not, I mean, here, let me see what it was. The picture that I sent Dan earlier.
Okay.
Of what it was. So the brand is Clipper, which that's another one to add to the I bought this at TJ Maxx. So Clipper, natural, fair, and delicious, really good. This one's called A Bag of Your Queen of Greens Tea.
It's just in time for the news of the princess passing. So that was a good pick. A very good pick. I might be halfway done before we even start.
I know, and I'm like, I'm halfway done with mine, and I'm like, I want more.
I know.
I think the tea kettle's still hot. I think I might go
Have to do a little
once
pause.
I finish this and get a little more.
Well, as that was a 10 out of 10, I have 12 out of 10 news for the viewers. As Aubrey mentioned, we have a ton of beginning stages of like a business plan with some of our top tea talkers. Believe it or not, we were able to secure a promo code with Buddha Teas, and I'm going to walk you guys through it, showing you how to apply the code. I mean, I imagine everyone knows how to do this. So you're just going to go to buddhateas.com. Sorry if that's not focusing.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm basically going through my cart. You can see they also have pretty good bundles there. So you can see that I have 2 separate orders over here.
Okay.
I actually got 6 boxes of each of these. So all you have to do, I know, this tea time is really getting me in.
Right.
So literally enter coupon code. That code, you guys should know it by now. Helloha.
Right. If you don't, there's some real problem.
For real. Helloha20, all caps. And then apply it. And you can see. Wow. This discount code took off $18 from the order.
Oh my gosh.
So can you guys see that? So it took my subtotal originally was $91 with Helloha20, all caps, discount code, got us down to $73.34. So
incredible.
The people who thought we were making this all up, here it is live in action.
Right, here it is, legitimately.
Pull up.
We're really getting stuff done here at the Helloha show.
Yeah, super nice people at this company too, so.
Yeah, their CEO even reached out and followed
us.
Right.
I was like, okay.
We cannot thank you enough.
Yeah.
From one startup to another.
So with that news, we want you guys to, if you are tea lovers like us and you make a purchase using our code, post it, use hashtag Helloha20 and
Helloha in all caps.
And hashtag Helloha Show on your Instagram post or story. And with that, you will be entered to win.
Oh my word.
A gold mask peel off, because we have an upcoming little promo with Sephora. So this was gifted to us for the fans. It's like,
this is all legitimate. It's ridiculous. Like, Helloha is blowing up like you guys wouldn't believe. So, you can't make this stuff up.
You literally can't. So make sure you tag us because this could end up in your mailbox for free. And of course, all this happened from word of mouth from our friends and fans that got this around. So tag us in your posts.
Thank you.
Wow. And this came up because Sephora saw our baggage claim, our wonder patches that we were in that episode, and they just reached out. Like, that's how this works.
Right, like, how does that happen? It's just so unreal.
I'm getting excited here.
That happened, and then also, like, oh my word, the hashtags for that, we're gonna try another beauty product today, but also our story the other day in honor of Earth Day coming up, you might have seen our story about Drops. They're having a special sale. What is it, 25% off your entire purchase or something like that. And Drops was featured in our Amanda Teaches Economics episode 4?
4 or 5. I don't remember.
I think it was 4. Slow was 5. This is 6.
Got it.
And then Aldi was 3.
That's right.
So many episodes.
I know.
So Amanda talked about these drops, which they have. Well, they have more than just this, but they have dish detergent pods, and then they also have what is it, like laundry detergent pods. But they have other stuff too. I just didn't buy any of the other stuff. Have you tried any of the other, or just
the laundry and the dishwasher? And honestly, like, I never really used a dishwasher prior to moving into this house, so I'm pretty impressed. It's not like spotty or like cloudy afterwards, so they work out
nice?
good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm doing like 5 loads right now.
Because
and they've all like turned out like really nice, and I'm like, ooh.
Because Aubrey's in her new space.
Yes,
everyone. Set.
Yeah, new set, which there are probably gonna be like 1,700 sets through the duration of the Helloha show, because opportunities here are endless. So I just kind of want to set up shop today, like somewhere where I can get my thoughts together, trying to be a little bit cleaner. Wow, can't wait to take you guys on the house tour. I think I'm gonna make a short of that this coming week or tomorrow or later tonight, probably tomorrow.
2 hours.
But who knows? Anything is possible here at the Helloha show. But I'm sitting with a brand new desk that I built and my nice mustard chair. I don't know if you can see it.
Let's see it, because Allie was talking about it with
right. Can you see it?
How would you rate it? Is it comfortable or like looks nicer than it feels?
It's honestly it's good. I would say it's good. It's like comfortable. It's for what it is. It's a desk chair, you know. But it's not like rough or anything. It's like I can lean on it too, like this, and I can swivel, which is like wow. Anything is possible here at the Helloha show now. Like, what is this?
What the? I love it. I'm glad we got to see it, because I know Allie brought it up, and I've been wanting to see it too in action, so that was terrific. You showed your drops, and we thought about this right before we started recording. I think I talked about my unpaper towels.
Yes.
And here they are. They are so cute. They match your countertops. So this is a little paper towel roll, and you just fold them all up, and they're really soft.
Obviously, ooh, they look nice and soft.
And this shop owner, I'm gonna have to put her shop in the comments.
Oh yeah, link her bio.
She put in these cute 2 little coasters. They're fabric.
Oh and this my gosh, those are adorable.
This is actually the pattern that I wanted originally, but I'm glad she was sold out, because everyone loves these. Because this wouldn't match as well. But she put 2 of these in my order just for free, and I left her an amazing review, so we had a little chat after that. So suggest them.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, send me her link, because maybe I'll try it.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
I mean, who knows? Like, anything is possible now. Like, I need to get like any new any habits that we're gonna like get them started now while the house is fresh. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Easy then. You get into it.
Exactly.
Okay, I know we already went through a lot. We're already burning through 15 minutes, but I feel like it's all. So, one last, if you can believe it, deal that we're going to talk about is actually relevant to our episode. I'm sure you guys, well, maybe you're not familiar with it, but it's a brand. It's okay to not be okay. And if you go on their website, they right now have 2 beanies for $30. And you can read all about their mission and what they're for, and they're super helpful. I don't want to go on too much longer. You guys, if you're interested, can read them. Very good company. We're excited for them, and we're working towards getting some type of Helloha 20 promo for you guys.
Right.
So I see you're getting excited because so am I.
I know. It's just fun, like, holding it. I'm like, ooh. Oh.
So you guys, again, I talked about this already, loved the baggage claim under eyes that we did. So we thought it would be cool to do my favorite face mask. So Aubrey sent me the under eye pads, and I sent her, this is the Hada Labo Tokyo anti-aging facial sheet mask. Again, I found this from Dr. Dre, love her on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, how did you find out about this mask?
Yeah, so I actually use their sunscreen too.
Okay.
For my face, and since it's a Korean brand, I just feel like it feels totally different from like American Copper Tone or like whatever the Australian.
Oh, really? Ooh,
yeah, so very refreshing. I hope you enjoy. We're going to put this on while we talk about it during our episode. But
I'm gonna need to find a hair tie really quick.
I know I had to put one.
I'm like, oh crap, maybe there's one here.
All right, so this it says leave on for 10 minutes. I clearly am a rebel and wear it for like 20 just because I love it.
Okay.
And someone call me out if it's harmful for doing it that long. I'm not claiming I know what I'm doing. It's just what.
Ooh, yeah, it's nice.
So if you remember when we put on the under eye pads, I was like, do I have small eyeballs? Like, why is it taking so much up? This, I feel like it fits for the most part on your face. It's very difficult to like unwrap without tearing all the areas. This is okay. I think I'm getting there.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I'm like gonna use the camera to.
Yeah. Oh, it's cold.
Ooh. I think it feels so good.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh.
And I can like only half see too because I took my glasses off.
Oh no. That's okay.
I know. But I'll just put them back over.
It
feels nice. It like really clings to your face.
I feel like a lot of masks, not that I've done that many because I have super sensitive skin, but they just like feel rough. But this is like silky.
Yeah, so it's like nice and soothing.
Basically pushing it all out to the outskirts of our face. Oh, I love it.
It feels so good.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, look at that. Beautiful. With the glasses.
Right.
It's functional.
All right. Oh, it feels so good.
I look like a ghost. I love it. Okay.
Halloween episode.
I know. As you don't look any further, your costume is ready. All right. We wanted to do this because it's spa-like and it might help us relax more and take it a step at a time, because this episode, hopefully you can take us seriously with this on, because it is meant to be serious. Grieving. So I think this can be like an actual series if you guys are interested enough in it, because I mean, a lot of our conversations, like obviously not on the Helloha show, will be about this, or just like we're having a rough day, like I just need to talk about it to someone. We think it's super important. So I'm going to do an overview with my direct experiences, and Aubrey is also going to talk about that. So jump in if I say something that like you think like, oh, I'm actually the opposite or exactly the same. And I wrote down some bullets in our Helloha show notebook because there's so much to talk about on this that we had.
It's definitely going to be, you guys, we know you'll vote and say you want it to be a series, so.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just start from my beginning. So right now, I'm 29, and my mom was killed in a motorcycle accident when I was 12 years old, and it happened on Father's Day. So I'm just going to do a quick, not too many details of that day. But I went to a Catholic school that I think we mentioned in previous episodes. Almost shout out. And so I was 5th grade summer, because Father's Day is summer. And over the years, we like slowly stopped going to church as regularly as we used to, like when I was super little, like nothing, just life happens, so you don't go as frequently. So I distinctly remember going to church that morning, which was not totally unusual, but just like, oh, why are we going today? So I went with my mom, and it was just us two. And normally we would sit a little closer to the front, but we were in like one of the back pews. And I remember telling you this outside of Aladdin's in Mount Lebanon. I don't know. But Lebanon. So I remember we were just sitting there, and I remember at one point, like, she was just holding my hand, and I looked down at it, and like that's all the memory I have from church. Like, for whatever reason, like, we have bursts of memories from that day. After that, we went to her best friend Penny's house. That was fairly close to us and the house. Then my mom dropped me off at my cousin Mary's house because I was going to go to this country club they belong to, like to swim and go to lunch. And she dropped me off, and I remember being on the swing set with my cousin Catherine at the time, and my mom was talking with Mary, Catherine's mom, and she like left and like waved, and I remember like waving bye to her, and like that was it. So she went on a motorcycle ride with someone, and fairly close in like Ligonier is like between like Westmont and Ligonier. That drag is where the accident happened. So after that, I came home. I remember my dad was on the front porch, and we didn't know anything happened yet at the time. And he was like, "Do you know where your mom is?" And I was like, "No." But it was weird because he was just like sitting on the front porch, and like looking back at it, I'm sure he was super anxious. Like, she was gone for a while, so like, what's going on?
Right.
And then I imagine he was getting more and more anxious as time went on. I have no idea how much time since I got home, but we went upstairs on the computer, and I heard a knock at the door. So he's like, "Go get it," whatever. I go down, and I see a cop car out front, and a police officer is walking to the door, and like, I'm like, "Oh, scary, what's going on?" So I run back to the attic, and he was like, "What did Brett do now?" Brett's one of my older brothers. So I think he wasn't a bad kid. Just where your mind goes is funny as a parent, I imagine. So I imagine that the police officer told my dad that maybe he didn't tell him what actually happened. Maybe I don't know, maybe he said there's an accident with your wife. I don't know if they said a lie or what the status was. Told him to call a number. I don't remember where I was during this conversation, somewhere in the house. Then I remember him on the phone in the kitchen, and you could hear his voice break, but like, I couldn't tell that he was like getting emotional or anything like that, because I couldn't really hear. And for whatever reason, like at that point, even though I didn't hear any words, I just knew like something's wrong, like something's really wrong. And if you remember, in my living room, there's the window behind like the couch, and then the TV.
Yeah.
My mom and dad actually had matching gray Vans, and I remember like looking out that window being like, just pull in, just pull in. It'll be fine. Like, just pull in, and then we don't have to worry about anything. And my dad got off the phone, came into the living room, and I mean, how are you supposed to tell a 12-year-old
Right.
any of this? And he's like, put your shoes away. And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't do anything. Why are you getting in the way? And he didn't say anything. My cousin Mary comes back over because he called her. And I hear them like in the driveway. I remember being like, okay, my mom died. Like, this is it. So I remember going out the front door, down our little sidewalk, and like Mary like looks over from the driveway and is just like looking at me. And I honestly don't even remember if they were like, your mom died. Like, I don't remember like known like out there. I remember a couple was walking their dog and I just was like, like a not a cry, but from there it was just like we went inside. I don't know how much time passed. We called my mom's brothers, and my one aunt and uncle came over. My grandma and other aunt came, and it was just like WTF. So
were Bradley and Brett there at the time?
So Brett came home before like he made any other calls. It was actually good timing. So we were in my kitchen at the bar, like where their phone was. And I remember Brett walking in, and he just like looks at us and he's like, what's happening? Like what are you guys doing? And my reaction was to say, Mom's dead, because how are you supposed to like say it any later? And I'm a kid at this point. And I remember him getting like, however you're going to deal with it at any age and whatever, everyone's different. He went outside and was like pacing and like heavy breathing. It's just like WTF. And Bradley at the time was in New York, and this is 2003. So cell phones aren't really a thing.
Oh, no.
Just like, it's a totally different world.
Right.
And I found out this year actually that Brett emailed Bradley saying like, something happened, call home now. And Bradley didn't normally check his email before school, so he didn't even like, actually he was graduated by now, before work I imagine. He checked his email and like called the house. This was the next morning. My dad picked up the phone.
Oh my God, so it was like a whole day and he didn't even know.
And I think Bradley said that like he answered the phone. Normally he was like, hey, father. Bradley always says father, sister, whatever. And I guess he like said like, Bradley, like the way he said it. And Bradley's just like, he knew, like he had a feeling like before he called what happened. But Brett, I don't think said anything like specifically.
Right.
Just something crazy happened. And we grew up not wealthy and not with that much money. So I'm pretty sure that my cousin paid for Bradley to take a flight or the train home so he could be home, because otherwise, like, how the heck are we supposed to get here? And Beecher, who we will have.
Yes.
I don't say anything else about that, but she actually came in with one other friend and she stayed a couple days. So he got here, we had funeral, whatever. That's way too many details, but that's just my overview. I feel like a lot of people I found out thought that my mom, who like didn't know me before, they thought she died of cancer, which like I found this out from my dance studio. This girl I used to babysit for, she was like, I guess like I was probably a senior in high school or something, and she just brought up my mom because she felt comfortable. And she's like, yeah, I know she was sick. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And she's like, your mom was sick, right? And I was like, it was a motorcycle accident? And she's like, oh my God. Like, I guess people didn't know were like new to my studio, that instead of asking, they're like, oh, she had some type of cancer or something.
Right. Just like child.
Which now I'm like, how many other people think this? Because
Right.
like you meet someone new, it's like, hi, I'm Amanda. My mom died when I was 12 in a motorcycle accident. Like you don't introduce yourself like that. But that's my main story, and anything I basically talk about is going to be related to my mom. And I think, I have another. I just basically had a question, a general rhetorical question, like, so how do these people like recover from a loss? Like, because every day, especially in the beginning, like, how are you supposed to get through these normal daily tasks? Like, how are you supposed to focus? How are you not supposed to talk about them? Like, how? So I think I have always been interested with like, I don't even know if like psychology is the right word, but like how everyone reacts with their emotions. And I have never been against therapy. I have always been intrigued, but not really know. Like, insurance is confusing in the first place.
Yes.
Trying to find a therapist or a psychiatrist should not be this difficult. And I'm not even saying like, oh, I have to search and do research. I'm all for trying to find someone to get me the help, and it's not necessarily about the money. So I would hope that in the future, at least American healthcare can make it easier, because this is the last thing that someone who's really struggling to put their time into. Like, that's not fair. So the way I feel like I had finally a breakthrough, probably like 2017. Now keep in mind this happened in 2003. So ups and downs every year. I'm not saying that
14 years.
I wasn't severely depressed this entire time. I would not say that about myself. But I remember going to my first PCP in Pittsburgh, and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm going to talk about it, because what I'm doing, like, clearly things are lingering, and I just wanted to talk about it. And I knew it was going to be discussed, because on like the questionnaire, it's like, do you feel anxiety or depression? Oh my God. I know I say I cry all the time, but when I was in the doctor's office, and the girl, my doctor, was super sweet. I miss her because she left hospitals.
Oh no.
But she was going through, super calm and professional, is like, so why don't you talk about, I hear you have anxiety and depression marked off as something you want to talk about. And I just like, I didn't say anything. I just like lost it, because I like knew it was going to be brought up. And I was like excited to finally like handle it.
And then it's like, you get to that moment, and then
so
I would say the same thing happened to me, to butt in there. Like, I went, and it was finally like, it was just like whenever I was living here, like in Ada, like in the last like year. And then so I went, like, established the PCP, and then they like, it's like the 4-thing questionnaire, and they're like, and then I said like, yes, like all of the check marks boxes. And then so like check up and everything, and then she's like, well, like, wanted to bring this up, like, and I literally just like started bawling. Like, and she's like, I get it, but like, she's I mean, it was just so, it was like all coming out. I'm like, yeah, finally, like, I'm doing something and like calling attention to it, and like that's been something that's needed to be done for years, clearly.
And it's also just like, I was never like, it never crossed my mind to be embarrassed to talk about it, but it's just like, it just, whatever was inside of us, we were like, oh, thank God it's getting out. With like, you can get out.
Mhm.
It's also just like, I was never like, it never crossed my mind to be embarrassed to talk about it, but it's just like, it just, whatever was inside of us, we were like, oh, thank God it's getting out.
Right.
With like, you can get out.
Mhm.
And she suggested that I do behavioral therapy, or what is it? Behavioral cognitive. Sorry, I'm blanking.
Cognitive behavior. I have no idea.
So I do that, and she also, I got put on an antidepressant, and this was probably like 2018. It was actually around election time, not like presidential, but like local. So I just remember she was like, it works best, the program works best when you take medication with therapy. You get the most benefits generally. And I was like, I'm all for it. Like, I can talk.
Right.
I clearly am at a point, like, I'm not tearing up where I just talked about
Right.
what normally I couldn't even squeak out in the past. And I was like that before I had my first session, but my therapist, I didn't go to a psychiatrist. So for those who don't know, a psychiatrist can like prescribe medication while they oversee you in sessions, and like a therapist or a social worker does not have that ability to write the script for you. And my want out of therapy, which everyone's is different, mine, I just wanted a third party who did not know me or did not know anyone, so there was no bias. Like, I can talk to my friends and they get it, and I don't think any less of them. It's just different when like
a different perspective, someone completely outside.
Yeah. And I went for like a year and a half, and I can go back whenever I want. Like, I never stopped. I just was at a place where I felt comfortable. My therapist, of course, told me, like, whenever you need something, book on the calendar. I'm here.
Right.
And she's super sweet. I felt comfortable. And like, in general, they will give you some exercises, but she like was really helpful. Like, what do you want to get out of this? Because I feel like a lot of people don't know the difference between a psychiatrist and like a social worker. So they go into a psychiatrist, maybe they are like anti-medication, like they're already in there with crossroads. I don't want to be there in the first place. I just have to get through this half hour or whatever. And then someone's going to suggest medicine and they're going to freak out. So I hope anyone who's watching who needs any type of care or assistance just does a quick, even a Google search of the difference between levels of therapy, so you don't get discouraged from going. And I'm sure there's people who are watching who are like, oh my God, you take a medicine? Like, you don't have that big of problems to take it. And I know someone who is fairly successful, and it's like a friend of a friend.
Fairly.
They're a successful. They're a I'm not gonna get into it, but they were going off about someone who told them that they were on an antidepressant of some sort. And this person, because they never had to deal with anything, or they felt immediately was like, oh my God, you must be this person's a whack job. They're gonna be a loose cannon. Like, I can't even believe that person, that's not the person I know. And I overheard this and I was just like, so mad, like so mad. I don't even know both of these people that well, but I was just like, how dare you like call someone out on bettering themselves? I I hope that whoever is watching this, if they feel that way, that they become more compassionate. And I'm going to say it again, consider yourself lucky if you
that you haven't had to deal with these kind of experiences.
Yeah.
Before I do that, should we take these off? I
feel like it's drying out a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it's been on for like almost 45 minutes. Well, I think it was 8:15 whenever I looked, and it's now 8:53.
So right off the bat, I got some acne going on, but I feel like it's super. I mean, obviously there's a lot on your face still, and it's not good to touch your face.
Right. Do we just let it dry in?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel? And I'm being weird and using it as like a towel for my hands.
Oh, me too, like a moist towelette. Toilet. Ooh, the neck. Don't mind if I do.
As you know, that's where the SPF's got to go, peeps. Hands and neck and ears. But what do you think of it so far? You like this?
Yeah, I love it. It's like really like high quality, it seems. Like, and you're just so like, ooh.
They're not that expensive either. I did get this off of Amazon, but
how often do you do them?
I don't do that. I will do one like the last one I did probably like 2 months ago. I know some people do these like once or twice a week, but I mean, if my skin's feeling like a little like, what is going on, Amanda? I'll throw this on and I'm like, oh, I love it. I feel so much better.
Yeah. It feels good. Really quick though, before I get into mine, speaking of like your skin and everything. So we've never had water softener before. I hate it. I mean, I'm getting used to it now, but I'm like, I am like not washing anything off my body. I feel like there's slime all over me. I'm like, what
is it slippery?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this, but Vegas, when we were there last March, I literally was taking a shower and I was like, what is going on? Like, it's uncomfortable when you don't know what.
Yeah, I'm like, literally, what? Like,
and it's the thing that like nothing is cleaning what's happening.
I know, it's ugh. But I will say the one thing, which like, because I've talked about it now, but like my hair definitely feels a lot like it's nicer? Like a lot cleaner and like healthier it feels. But I'm like, yeah, the rest of my body is like kind of like itchy too, which I don't even know how to describe that. But I'm like, but yeah, getting it off, you can't get that off, which is gross. But it's like actually better for you than hard water, which is insane to me. Like insane.
I wonder if like your like body as a whole will feel like if you put moisturizer on, like you won't need to as much. I mean, it's good obviously to put that on, but like with hard water, I feel like our skin gets dried out so much easier.
I did read that, so I'll be curious.
More to come on that.
More to come. More to come on that. And then I'll have to tell you about the tub fiasco too. Just really quick, it is like way too like it's like, you know how like it's a tub is like there's like the longer ones which I thought was like normal. This ain't. And I'm like literally in the tub the other day like trying to submerge my whole body. Like I don't know. Well, it works. It'll work. But like I'm not like we are getting a freaking like bigger tub like because I take baths all the time.
And how tall are you? You're not much taller than me.
No, like 5'3".
Really? You're only an inch taller than me.
Yeah, I think 5'3".
For some reason I had just imagined like everyone who's like somewhat close to me is like at least 5'7", because I'm like, that's so tall. Right. Yeah. Oh, it's not the
and it's like slanted, like so it's like doesn't take out like it's like less of it that can be like deeper. If that makes sense. But
I know what I mean.
Talk about a fiasco. Oh boy. But to be continued on that on the Helloha show.
Helloha.
So to get into it. Staying hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda and I, whenever we were talking about this and had the idea for the episode like a couple weeks ago now, that we like really started talking about it, we always knew that we were gonna want to talk about this. So whenever we were discussing it, I decided, I'm gonna write down, just it all came to me right away, what was my experience through the years with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna jump right in and do it from beginning to current. But I think so. We'll see. So my very first experience, which I don't know why these ones are coming to mind, but so this is it.
Yeah.
Is the very first time I experienced death, which was I was 5 or 6, and we lived right by the South Jubilee. So for weeks and weeks, I'm I really just so funny that this is what I remember, very first experience. Hey, I really really, 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 really want this goldfish in the worst way. My life was
on the
for
line.
this fish. So my dad wins it for me. Then we bring it home in one of those little mason jars, walk up the street to get back to our house, and then just the feeling that I felt. So the fish died, clearly. And spoiler alert, the fish died, and then I'm just I can't even explain it, because when you feel the feeling, you just know what it I can't even put it into words, but that feeling of death. That was the very first time I ever felt, which, lo and behold, dumb that it was but still, that was just the very first experience with death. Trying to reiterate that for everyone. But so then very upset about this fish.
Right.
And then don't really remember anything after it. Life went on.
The grieving experience was shorter for the fish.
Right. Yes. So then next bullet is the second time that I've ever dealt with death. Was with a pet.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that either. I think it's a true legitimate. It was just such a real experience, and heart-wrenching, and I just remember I've never been just had that feeling before. So I had this pet bunny named Fluffy, and we kept him outside, and yes, Fluffy is, because Ken would always joke about it, Fluffy was a boy, and his name was Fluffy, but hey, to each his own. Just Keegan would always make fun of that, about growing up all the time. So Fluffy, the male rabbit, and then so had him for a long time. He was an outdoor rabbit, and I remember coming home from school. It was in 6th grade. So I remember Mr. Lore was my teacher, which you weren't in our middle school, right? Yeah. No, okay. And then walking, getting home from school, and then I just see, which was abnormal, because I never run around the side of the house to see what's up for the day, but I was oh, I'm gonna let Fluffy out right away, right after school, and my mom was back there, and I couldn't even walk up, and I just knew, and she's because apparently my dad had called her, and was hey, whenever you get home from work, check on the rabbit, something, he doesn't seem he doesn't look good, so a snake bit him, we're pretty sure, or some kind of animal, and I just feel so bad that he was who knows how long he was suffering that.
Yeah.
But so sad.
Outside in the winter?
Uh-huh. If it was ever really, really cold, we would bring him into the lower garage, or the garage.
What a badass, though.
Roughing it.
Oh,
Um,
baby.
I know. But and then so I was just like so beside myself, and for whatever reason, we had cheerleading. So I did cheerleading. Haley was like a midget cheerleader, and then Bobby was playing football. We had to go up and get our pictures taken at the rehab for like how like soccer pictures or whatever. So we were getting those done. I'm like, I can't do this right now. It was like right then. And I was like, come on, you can do it. So, and there's still a picture to this day, hanging in there, like in the hallway at the house. You've probably seen it. I'm sure you have, of like us that day. And I'm trying to smile.
Oh,
And
that's
I
the
have
worst.
my glasses on. I'm like, huh? Yeah,
Faking it.
right. And I'm like, eh. So then my mom, like, I was so upset, and they thought that I like took it like way harder than normal a child is. The next day I was at school, and then I got called to the guidance counselor. Like my mom had called the school because I was like literally so upset because I'm like, I really don't want to go to school. Like I'm literally like distraught.
Mhm.
Like I was like that rabbit was like my life.
It was something you took care of and loved.
Yeah, like all the time. Like then it goes like throwing off a routine. Like, and I'm like a very routine person. Like
Yeah.
if I'm not doing something over and over again, like
Yeah.
it usually doesn't stick, which like I'm so excited to get into the new routine at the house. Like
Get in your
once
groove.
I have everything set up, like Monday through Friday will be like I'm like so excited. I love a routine. Like my life.
I do too. Very OCD. Yep.
But so I get called to the guidance counselor, and they're like, hey, like your mom called, like is everything, and I just like start bawling, and I'm like, just let me go home.
It's probably like the same thing like we had with our PCP. It's like, I know what's going on. Like, tell me
Right,
the worst, but please help me.
right. And then I can't remember if I went home or went back to class, but it's like, sorry, Mom, you could have let me stay home.
Yeah, and we could have avoided this.
Right. Like, don't need to be called in. But, um, also, sidebar with this rabbit, um, my pap, who I'll get into in a little bit here, he like, because I was the first and the favorite grandchild, made up a song for me. Like whenever, so he would always like sing it to me, like with my name in it,
Aww.
like all the time. He would always like pull me on his lap and then sing it. And then I remember being like, "Well, my mother too fluffy," and like I made up a song for him, and I would always sing it to him, like just like my dad, which just sounds like ridiculous saying it, but it's like, hey,
How old were you?
huh?
How old were you?
Um,
Rough.
whenever I made up the fluffy song,
Yeah. Or when you were a mother.
I was like probably like was I in first grade whenever I got him?
Little.
Like young.
Little.
Well, no, maybe it was like third grade.
You're like, maybe it was 12th grade. I don't know.
Not sure, but
You're a
pretty
child.
much. So, but I always just, whatever reason, whenever I was writing these notes, that reminded me of that, and I just always makes me happy. So the first human death that I interacted with, it's a terrible word to use, but was, and it's not funny, but like at the same time, is like I was so distracted. Like the death was my great grandma Lucy, so my mom's grandmother, and then my grandma was still alive at the time too, so like they were kind of like grieving together.
Yeah.
But I remember being so selfish and thinking, like my mom told me, I remember in the morning, like getting ready for school, and I think I was in like, probably, I think it was like senior or junior year. I think junior year.
Wow.
One of like, yeah, so like it was like all pets, and then like a a death, like a human death.
Yep.
And then from that, I remember my mom being at the kitchen like cabinet, getting out like medicine and being like, "Hey, I gotta tell you, like Grandma Lucy died." And I'm like, "Oh no," like, but I wasn't like super close with her by any means, but she was. And then I'm like, oh, my first thought, which literally so selfish, but being completely candid, was, crap, is this going to put Evan was visiting me like that day he was supposed to come. So I always remember that, like that next, he was like staying with us and everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like my mom's dealing with this, like just putting myself in those shoes, like how much of a wreck that I was.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my mom was like completely different scenario, but like she wasn't as like not upset, but like she wasn't
I know what you mean.
freaking out, like, you know what I'm trying to say? I don't even know how to explain it. But so Evan did come visit, which as planned, and then I remember him leaving, which was like right before we were going to the viewing. Like, so my mom and family and I were going, and Evan is leaving, going back to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, I was so upset that he was leaving, and I'm like, why? Like, just like that feeling of, which is so like crazy to even like explain this, but it's like the loss of like him leaving was like even more than I felt like whenever like any of the like my animals died, but being like comparing it, being like, okay, like great grandma's dead, like, so my emotions were just not, which I mean that's how I felt, but it's just like, you know what I'm trying to say, like almost like,
It sounds bad, but it doesn't. Like you have to think of like how your priorities are as a junior or senior in high school.
Right.
We don't think about
Exactly.
because
Like,
we don't
what?
have to think about these things. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's unusual or strange, and I don't think even mom would think that that's selfish if you're growing up. Like you're
Right.
not gonna understand it fully either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sense. Yeah. Next, I'm probably gonna go home. So what even time is it now? Okay. 9:11. We're good. The next time, like the next experience was another bunny, Targus. Remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh. Oh, those roll the footage.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've hardly had any footage rolled the whole
This whole
episode. Like, what is going on?
All
So
the
we'll
tape.
roll the footage of that. But he was an indoor rabbit. He was awesome. Got him at Petco senior year, like right before graduation, like in April. I got him. So like a month and a half left of school. Hey, it's fine. And Aubrey, you're going to college. What are you gonna do with this rabbit? Whole other episode right there. But so anyways, through trials and tribulations, he ended up with me at school, and like he was, I'm gonna say, like he was like my life, like my bestie. Did everything with me. Was like so great. He was trained so well. At night he would just like go hop in his crate and be like, "Get ready for bed." And then if he would ever like be hopping around through the day, like he was potty trained and everything. Like we would just go right in the crate, and he was fixed because whenever I first got him, he was like going nuts, and I'm like, this can't happen. So, and then life changing, he like became so obedient and everything. And so anyways, traumatic experience, he passed away like so suddenly. I think you remember this, probably. I don't know.
I don't know if I remember, like, without being told.
Right. So it was like it was like around Christmas time. We had like a real live Christmas tree at our not our house on campus right next to Taco Bell. which I could really go for some Taco Bell right now or a snack. I can't wait to see what the snack is post episode in the new kitchen.
Oh yeah, episode.
But yeah, maybe we'll have to do a short of it. But he was fine. Like literally, like ate waffles with me that morning, like legitimately. And he would just like follow me around all day. He was the best. And then he like I put him down to his crate. Like I'm about to go to bed too. It was like a Saturday night, Friday or Saturday. And then he's like starts like trying to like puke. And like and he's in his cage. He's like just coughing, and rabbits like can't throw up apparently. And like I'm like calling, my roommate was upstairs and she had a bunny too. And I was like, Andrea, like get out of here. Like everyone like come help. And then like we're calling like the poison, like didn't know what was wrong with him. And like so we opened the crate and then he like runs out and then he starts like running around the house. And then like where the live Christmas tree was, he starts like ramming his head into the wall, like literally like, and then like fell over. And it was literally like the most traumatic, like it happened within like less than 2 minutes. I kid you not. Like
I don't think I know this story. I would remember that.
Like, yeah, I think you would too. Like
that
messed me up because he was fine, and like to watch that, it was awful.
Did he eat some of the tree?
We don't know. We think it could have been like sap from the tree, which we heard, like, but not sure. Like, I mean, he was just always out and about, and so was the other rabbit, because Andrea had one, and like, so like they were always like, if it would have, I don't know what, yeah, but awful. Like, and then, completely irrelevant, but that's whenever I was dating Steve, and he was like out at the bar that night, and like his phone was like, he came back and was like basically belligerent, and I'm like, Tardis is dead. He's like, no, he's not. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and like that was just
made it worse.
Another icing on the cake. Great experience, but like he like loved that rabbit too. But like we don't need this right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so took care of that. Like we buried him in the woods, like at the Christmas tree farm.
Aww.
Like at Steve's like parents' house or like wherever the farm was. Oh my gosh, look at this.
I can't see. What did you
I'm squeezing some out.
Oh,
like leftover goodies. Ooh. But then, so I was like really upset about that for a very long time. Like, and it's like, okay, like you're a freaking 20-some-year-old like girl, like get up, like.
I don't think so.
I don't know, just like weird with pets. I don't like. Some people get it and some people don't. But,
yeah, I'm like, I don't see anything weird with that. I mean, Russell, rest his soul, my favorite pup ever, last March.
Hey Russell, if you're watching from above.
Oh, I hope you're watching. And I remember the time you tried to bite him.
He's rolling his eyes at us right now. He's like
taking a drag. But I remember my dad calling me. So he is old. He was almost 17, which is old, but like when I first got Russell, which I forgot to mention, I got the summer my mom died, and I imagine it was like, oh, what do I do? Like get her a dog? Like
right.
get her a trampoline too? Like all these things, because there's no handbook on the parent to deal with this. So I remember when we got Russell that I calculated the life expectancy based off of a Google search, which was pretty impressive back then.
Wow, for that age? I mean.
So I looked it up and said I'd be 26 when he lived his full life expectancy. Well, he was put down last March, so I was 27. I didn't turn 28 yet. So he was on borrowed time because he lived a very long life. It wasn't like, I remember my dad calling me in my apartment because I didn't move yet. And I heard like dogs like going nuts, and then he hung the phone up. And I was like, that was weird. Like, did he butt dial me? But then like I had like something where I was starting to panic, and I was like, are the dogs like barking at someone who's like broken into the house?
Right.
So then he calls back and like he's like, Amanda, like he calls me, he doesn't call me Amanda. Like no one in my family really does. And he's like, Amanda, I was like, what's going on? And he's like, Russell can't stop. And I'm like, oh my God, can't stop what? Like I knew it was bad. And he was like, he was having a seizure, like, and my dad was just like emotional watching it, because how are you supposed to?
Right, like what do you?
Especially the first one, like, what?
Right.
So I could hear him, and I'm like, just calm down, like you can't do anything, like just try to get the dogs away from him, and so he doesn't like bang his head against the wall or something. And I just remember after that phone call, like bawling my eyes out to Dan, and I was just like, I know he's old, but like I don't want this to be like his end of his life.
Right.
Like I don't.
Like so traumatic. Like
for animals.
Can't he just like be asleep? You know.
Exactly. So he kept having like a few more seizures, and then a couple months went on, which I feel like is so sad. Yeah, because like a dog doesn't like understand. Like I would hope that he wasn't in pain, but like I get it. And I think that moment I was like, here you go again, Amanda, like crying over a dog. Like of course he was a huge part of my life. I love him like a little family member, but like go back a decade or something and I'd be like, you're crying over a pet, but it's like still going through whatever you have to learn. So I mean, when you say that now, like some people get it and some don't. Like if they've whatever it is made an impact on you, it would be concerning if you didn't react.
Right. That makes sense.
Here's to Fluffy, Targus, and Russell.
Oh, and we'll throw Kelly in there. That was our family's dog. She was like 16. We'd always have to put her away. But I remember like my dad was really upset about it, which he like doesn't show emotion a lot. And like we were all like burying her in the backyard, like, and he's like digging the grave and is like literally like breaking down. And like I remember like he and I had a really hard time with it, but like everyone else was like okay. And like Haley, I think, or Bobby, or both, were like right afterwards like, all right, we're gonna go over to our friend's house like that night. And we're like, can you not? And I'm like,
I remember my dad texted me. We were actually at one of Dan's friend's house to potentially have a couch that he would let us use for the new house. Couch BS. Full of other episode. And this is just like crazy. So the sister who lived in this house had a version of a Jack Russell. And I was like, oh my God, I got to take pictures and send to Dad. Meanwhile, he's putting Russell down while I'm seeing this dog.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I was like, we go back in the car and my dad texts me and he's like, something short. I honestly don't remember how he said it, but basically that he had to put Russell down and he can't talk right now, meaning like physically can't talk. And I was like, oh my God. And like, I knew it was going to happen, but I just remember like looking over and being like, my puppy. And I don't even think I sent those pictures to my dad until like months later, because I was like, this was happening at the pets. Like, that's just so crazy. Like that type of dog too. Like
that's so bizarre.
Yeah. But
I mean,
crazy.
That is insane. Because like what are the odds?
I know.
At like that exact moment. Just
and that's like not a normal thing for us to do, to go to a friend's house to get a couch.
Oh, so then the very next and like biggest death of a human was like years went by after like Kelly Targus. Well, I guess like maybe 5 years or so. Because we were graduated and like living in Pittsburgh. Because my parents let me move there because Amanda lived there. That's the only reason
You were
I was
allowed
allowed to move
house.
to Pittsburgh. But I remember, so backstory, I'm like super like inseparably tight with like both of my grandparents. Was closer with my grandma, like while she was like sick and everything. Can you hear that slamming?
I can, but it's not that
Oh,
distracting.
okay. Evan's like building something down there, it sounds like.
Get to work.
Get to work. But where was I going with this?
Just that you were super close with your
Yeah, super close with her, and then became even closer with my pap once my grandma passed away, because like I took over the relationship and like wanted to be there for him just as much as he was there for me, like bestie, like literal like best friend, like that's a whole other episode. Like that's legitimately like a 2-part episode. Like wow.
And I remember like its exact time too, so like literal episode.
But so my grandma was like sick for a while, but well, she'd had ovarian cancer on and off for like 8 years. And then the very first time she had it, they told her that there was like a 30% chance of her surviving. Like a huge, they were taking like a mass out of her stomach. It was like 30, I think it was like either 8 or 30 pounds. Like it was huge. Because I remember seeing her, like, whenever she was like, we didn't know what was wrong with her. And like, I thought she was like, I'm like, is grandma pregnant? Thinking that in my head, because like her stomach was like so far, like, but can't even imagine how uncomfortable that was. But she survived the surgery clearly, and then she lived like cancer free for like, and they said that it was a legitimate miracle that she made it through. Like we were all expecting like, no, like this is it. That's how she made it through, and then she was okay for like a few years, and then she like it was just weird because I called her every single day. So like living in Pittsburgh, like, yeah, hey, what's up, blah blah blah, every day. And then like I can tell she wasn't like feeling great. Like the calls would be like shorter. She was just like tired, and she like had a couple procedures and things like that, but like nothing out of the ordinary that I would think like, oh, this is we're about to lose her.
Yeah.
Like would have never thought that. And then I remember I would go home like to visit from Pittsburgh like to J-Town for like the weekend, do some laundry, you know. And then I remember eating dinner, and it was like no one was home except for like me and my mom. Well, actually, that's like all I remember being around at the time. And I think I ate spaghetti, and like we're talking, like sitting at the island, and then so like I finish eating. She's like, okay, we're still sitting there, and she's like, Aubrey, I have to tell you something. And I'm like, immediately, that feeling, just like that feeling is the worst feeling. Like it just like thinking about it now, like it makes me like go crazy.
It's like a full body thing too.
Like yeah,
to your
everything. Like you can't even like control anything.
Yeah.
But I remember her saying, I have to tell you something. And then, like, literally just knew. And then she's like, Grandma has 2 weeks to 2 months to live. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like at first, like, what? Like, in disbelief, even though I already knew.
Yeah.
And then I just remember we went and like sat on the love seat in the sunroom, and we were both just bawling our eyes out and hugging each other for like 45 minutes straight. And like we were both letting it out, and like
Yeah.
I think like we both needed it, and it was just like not comforting, but like we were, I guess, almost to an extent like feeling the same emotion. Because I remember like my dad coming home that night, and like Bobby or Haley, one of the two, coming home, and then them being like I'm a wreck. And then they're like, oh, okay, like she knows. And it's like my mom is like literally like feeling that way too. Like that's not a response.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Like, and then like they're like, what are you crying about? Like what? Like what?
Not
Like
understanding.
literally distraught at this. Like we're both, and I'm like, so I went back to like work for stayed that weekend, visited her, and then like was going back and forth and it was literally within like 2 weeks to the day, I'm pretty sure, that like she was told that. So like going back and forth, and then was with her, and like at the very end, like, so it was great that I was able to take off work. You were there like in my life at that time, and
What was this? I can't remember. What month did this happen?
July.
That's what I thought, like mid to late summer.
It was like right after the 4th of July. So I remember like being at my old job at the Crown Plaza, and like the fireworks are going off, and everyone was like having a great time, and like I'm like at work hating my life, like literally like choking, like just like literally like bawling, and like I'm like I can't even work right now, like just a complete wreck, and it didn't even happen, like it was just like waiting for it, and I could only take so much time off. So, and then went home. I remember the call whenever my mom was like, you should come home now and bring something black. And I'm just like, I remember I was like walking to, remember Steve's mom? She lived really close to me.
I'm still on Facebook, actually.
She deleted me. Hey, it happens.
That's
funny. I wonder what she's up to though. She was always funny.
She is funny. Anyway.
But whole other episode, not really. And then I remember I was walking there, and then mom's like, come home like right now and bring something black, and I'm like, so then I went home, and she still had like, it was like a day or two. Don't really want to get into the graphic details at this point. Yeah. Obviously, like, you've heard them a million times. We don't really need. That's a whole other episode. Whole other episode. So, and then after that, I was like just very upset. Amanda can vouch for me. Like, went down, just briefly to say, like, went down a not smart path. Like, would be obsessively drinking alcohol to the point of just like it wasn't okay, and it was becoming a very bad habit and ruining relationships for me. Just awful. And then my family came after a call from Amanda that I wasn't even hanging out with her at the time. She like was gonna say written me off.
There was an incident based off of what you were dealing with. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like just goes to show like awful, like terrible time of my life. And I remember the fam came for an intervention one day, like that night, like that next morning they were there at my apartment.
Yeah. I didn't even realize it would be something like that. And you didn't even know, right? That like why they were there? Like did they drop my name or?
No, never.
Were you saying like, I told you like a couple years after, you're like,
yeah,
it came because of you?
And I'm like, what?
I was like, I can't keep my mouth shut whether we're talking or not. Like
Right.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, and no, I'm so appreciative of that. Like, just goes to show Amanda's one of the greatest friends you could ever have.
Thanks.
She just really does care. So then I remember right after that, very briefly, the next death was Jane. It just hops right back into it. Was Jane, who was my next door neighbor that taught me piano lessons, which that was like, I feel like that was in either like late July or early August, maybe even early September. So it was like right after my grandma, like within a couple months. And I remember being like, it was sad, but that was expected, and she was older. Miss her. Love you, Jane. And shout out to Mama H if you're watching. Jane was our lady. Like, love her. And we always would bond over that. Like, we would always go on shopping trips and everything. Whole other episode we can talk about whenever we get Mama H and Kian on the show. Like, holy crap. We'll do, oh my gosh, maybe we'll all meet up in J-Town at this one restaurant, like, in the hood, essentially. But I can't remember where it was, that I met them, like, a year or two ago. And we went to eat there, and it was hilarious. What was it called? It was like
where was it?
It was like over. It's not like D Street area, but it was like downtown Johnstown area, but like not downtown by
like the West End more.
Yeah, I think.
Like the Phoenix.
Like kind of by the Phoenix, or no, not the Phoenix. The is it Phoenix or Murphy's? Or are they both across?
Murphy's is Cecilia. Murphy's.
No, that's not it. It was like kind of like by the Bottle Works. By the Bottle Works, kind of. Okay, so
right where
whole other episode getting directions to that. And what is the name of the establishment? I don't remember. But I'll text Mom H after this and be like, "What's the name of that one like random restaurant?" It's
Aces?
like ghetto. Huh?
Aces?
No. I know.
Anyway, Jane up there with all of our other mentions.
Right. And then after that, it was in 2017 of March. I was like working at the West End still at that time. And then Grandma Varner, so my dad's mom, not really going to get into this one as much, which, I mean, we were close. Like, she was a great grandmother. And like we hung out a lot whenever I was younger and everything. Like just have like random funny memories of her, like with like drinking a canteen of water, like running across the street to the soccer field, like of Richland, just like random funny stuff. I loved her car too. But whole other episode just talking about her. I know the episodes are endless.
Yeah.
So, other ones in between, which I'm like, there weren't really many. Aunt Ruthie, Bravo.
Yes, I was
just an Italiano feast after this.
Italiano.
So I got like manicotti. I don't know if I told you, from Costco, like stuffed, and it was $3 off.
That's a steal.
And I'm like,
in fact, I drove past that very Bravo because I went to Trader Joe's right before this.
Ooh.
Wow. I remember that day. And then we actually have an Instagram post with the hashtag Aunt Ruthie.
Aunt Ruthie.
And I spelled it wrong and you corrected it. And I was like, what?
And but didn't we end up not going? Like, we didn't end up eating at Bravo because it was too packed. And then it was raining out that night because I was wearing the raincoat. And then that's when we found the tools,
the gun,
the video Crime Busters. But then we ended up walking to Cane's, and that's where we found that lady with the perfume.
And that's when we got declined entry because
yes, are you guys with your parents?
Yeah,
you need to be 18 or older or something.
Meanwhile, we're like 23, I think.
Speaking of, really quickly, Evan went to get his shot the other day, his second shot, and then he had his paper crumpled up, like he's not with it on stuff like that. Like he'll just be like,
Here.
all right, here it is. You want this? I'm supposed to take care of this. And they're like, honey, where's your mom? He said it was like this Hispanic woman. She's like, where's your mother? Like, you're too young to be here. And she's like, this is what you need, like the paper. And he's like, she's like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 28.
Honey.
Like, you look like you should be with your mother.
I feel like Johnstown has like the eternal youth pool or something, but he's not even from Johnstown.
Right.
He's got the baby face, so.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Where's your mother?
Where is she?
But last but not least was Pat, which definitely, I wouldn't say like it changed my life. I don't know, but just like not my life, but just changed me as a person.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is like the person I like. The past 5 years without my grandma around, like I called him every single day, and like we talked about everything. He knew like everything that was going on in my life, like completely, like.
Yeah.
And he was just the person too that even whenever, obviously, like I do complain, but like he would love it, and he would just be like, anything that I would say would be like, rightfully so. Yeah, Aubrey, like how does that go? Like, did they ever give you, did you get a rate? Like just everything. He would be on my side. Like I could tell him anything and he'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. Like and he was just such a big supporter, and I don't know, he was just my go-to person for everything. Like,
yeah.
But so he and I were super close, like for years, like inseparable, except for the one like couple months that he didn't talk to me because I wasn't going to church. Whole other episode.
I remember that.
Love you, Pat. Yeah. Anyway, still gotta talk about how he got me the house. Like whole episode, like that could be a feature film.
Yeah. Well, we are doing the tour. That's what
right.
you
could. Oh, I'll talk about that then.
Ooh.
Wow.
You don't have to answer this, and we can exit out. Do you think his loss was bigger than your grandma since you had more time with him?
I think so. Like, because I was like getting older and like more mature and everything, and like growing up, and I'm like,
you get it.
I can't even like, just like whole different, like we just had so many more so many more experiences together, and like we just became closer than like, not saying like closer than I was with her, but like that's like, yeah, like exactly like you and your dad, like, you know, like the other one is gone, unfortunately, but like we still like, let's build our relationship, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely. Which just the whole thing is crazy to me because he was getting like not sick. I didn't think he like fell down one night, and like he wasn't like, he would still like have trouble breathing. He was on oxygen, but like he lived on his own. But he had one of those buttons, and then so one night he fell in the bathroom, and then they ended up like having to take him to the hospital during COVID. Meanwhile, like alone, my mom couldn't even go, and he's like all by himself, like just confused, like half the time. Like he told me he didn't even know where he was. I was the only one that was allowed to call him. Like my mom was and my aunt, but he's like, no one can call me. Like I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm like miserable in here, like terrible. He's like, and my mom's like, Aubrey. He's like, Aubrey, but literally only Aubrey. He's like, she's like literally so worked up, like freaking out. But then he was in there for like maybe not even a full week, maybe, I don't know. But then he was home.
Still a long time, like during.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and like that he was by himself, and then like, which is like, I don't get it. I mean, everything happens for a reason, but like, so I was calling him once he like every day, whenever he like got out of the hospital, and like he'd been like I like weaker like in his voice and everything, and he could only talk for like a couple of minutes at a time because he like couldn't catch his breath, and then didn't really think anything of it. And then the night before he died, we talked on the phone for 13 minutes. I would call him whenever I would like get into my car and drive home from work. It would be like the perfect amount of time, like just for like our chit chat, because it was like getting to the point where he was like, tell Aubrey she can call me, but not for 2 hours like she always does. Like literally, like we just always talked about everything on the phone, like constantly.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, just not having that person like sucks.
Yeah.
But tell her she can call me, but only for like, I can only give her 5 minutes.
Under
So,
certain
the
circumstances.
night before, like he talked on the phone to me longer than he had like in the whole like past couple weeks that he like not been feeling good and like was in and out of the hospital.
Do you think he like knew?
I don't know. He had like, but like he literally had all of his, like he sounded great, had all of his strength, but I don't know if he knew, but I think he probably thought, because one of the last things, did I tell you about the combo? Like he's like, Aubrey, I'm serious, and he hadn't brought it up for like years, since the whole like he didn't talk to me. He's like, I need you to start going to church, please. He's like, I beg of you.
Wow.
And he hadn't brought it up in years. And my mom like kept like, she told me after the fact, she's like, yeah, she's like, Pap keeps saying he like wants to bring it up to you, but he like hasn't, like, and does like, because I keep telling him like, don't bring it up, like just was like, I mean, I believe and everything, but just like going, the physical act of going to any whole other episode. But yeah, that's just weird that he hadn't talked about it in like years. Like it was like the unspoken thing. And then that is in the last conversation that he had with me. Like, how do you explain that?
So like, even if he didn't know, like something.
Right. Something like made him say that. And then so I remember I was like, so it was just like the very beginning of the phone call too, because mind you, it was 13 minutes. Like I have the whole route mapped out, pulling out, and I'm like by this gas station about to like turn on. And like, that's like, I remember like looking at the sidewalk, and that's like whenever he was telling me that. And I was like, okay, I was like, I'm really going to try like for you. Like he's like, Aubrey, please, you have to for me. And I'm like, okay. I was like, yeah. And then he's like, okay, I won't bring it up again though. And then we started talking about it was the first time he was like so like talkative, and he's like, it was like he had a burst of energy, like they'd say.
Out of his chest.
Mm-hmm. And he's like talking about hospital hell. He's like, you would not believe this. He's like, they won't even give me any water. Meanwhile, he drinks like one of those little tiny Deer Parks like a day, a little bit more, but like, and then he's like, I was dying of thirst. And then you wouldn't believe it. They brought me this meal. I couldn't cut that meat. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, they gave me plastic. He's like, so the next time I got dinner, I called down and I was like, you need to cut up the meat for me. And then he's like, and then I got soup. And are you kidding me? It was plastic and it was the size of a teaspoon. And I'm just like this is our last conversation, like gets in so in depth about everything. He's like, I woke up last night, or like the night that he was there, he's like reliving it a couple days later. I didn't know where the hell I was. He's like, I like literally ripped off all of the wires and everything. Like I had no clue where I was. He's like, get me the hell out. He's like, I couldn't come home sooner. Like he's so energetic and like so it was a perfect there's never a perfect last call, but like
at least there was one.
And and like literally like remember every word.
Yeah.
So
but well, I see where you get your theatrics and dramatics and expressive words from then.
That's
cute.
Yeah, he is like that a lot. Like crazy amount. But I was on a walk, so I'm just wrapping this up briefly. Was on a walk in the park every day, you know, human of routine. Every day at lunch, 1:30 to 2:30 in the generic time frame, would be found in Roselle walking my 3.5 miles on my lunch break, like like sweating, like amazing, even in the winter and everything. Love that park. We'll go there whenever you visit someday. But love that loop. So would go there, and then I called him. So I was like, oh, today I'm just gonna call him on my lunch break, see what he's up to. Call him, and something like made me not call him right whenever I first started the loop, but I was like, oh, I'll just wait until I'm like almost done with it, then I'll just like walk slower, like get the workout in, and then call him like for 15 minutes on the way back, take a breather. And then I'm finishing up, I call, my mom answers the phone. I call his house. And I'm like, hey, it's me. And my mom like sounds so confused whenever she like, have I told you like this in depth before? Okay. So I figured, what's the better time? So and I'm like, hey, it's me. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, Mom, are you off work today? Like, and she like didn't know because like half the school she told me like knew, like everyone knew that she like ran out of there, like had to leave like immediately. And then so she's like, she didn't know, like, so it's like really awkward. And I was like, yeah, what are you doing there? I was like, I just called to see what Pap's doing. Is he taking a nap? And she's like, yeah, he's taking a nap. What are you doing? Like, just like weird. I was like, well, why are you up there? Like, I thought you were just there. Like, and I was like, I talked to him yesterday. He was like literally fine, like amazing. Like, talked to him for 15 minutes. And I was like, what? And she's like, he doesn't feel good. So he called me and I just took a half day. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, like have him call me whenever he gets up from his nap. And I was like, well, she's like, well, what time do you get off work? And I was like, because I'm on my lunch break in the park walking by myself. And she's like, well, what time do you get off work? I was like, 5, like I do every day. I was like, I'll just call him right at 5 whenever I'm pulling out of the work parking lot. And she's like, okay. And then it was just like weird. I was like, well, I hope he feels better. Like, do you think he's like I'm like just like like talking about him like as it literally like bless my mom for like being able to do that.
Handling that conversation.
He's like literally like, I could like, and then I hung up the phone and I was like, oh, she's like, we'll call you at 5. So I'm like, okay, and then just it didn't sit right with me. I hung up and then continued my walk back, and then I get back to work because it's like a 2-minute drive from that park. To the office, and then I'm like, okay, like grab all my stuff to go back in, and then I see like this like black Jeep like going around the work parking lot, and like I think they're saying Aubrey, but I'm like, that's weird, and it's Evan's mom. So my mom like called her and was like, you need to go get Aubrey like right now, like. So literally I fucking see her in the parking lot, and she's like, because I'm like, no, like I didn't, and she was like across the street at first. She's like, Aubrey, like, no, Aubrey, it's Chris Ann. I'm like, oh, like, what are you doing? She's like, I know this is weird. She's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, we need to call your mom right now. She's like, and I didn't, like, she didn't want you to be alone. Yeah. And I'm like, Mom, are you kidding me? Like, so I call her on her phone, and I'm like, Mom, no, don't say it. I was like, you can't. I was like, no, and I'm just like screaming and like bloody murder, like in the work parking lot, like literally freaking out. I'm like, oh God, that feeling. Yeah. I hate that feeling, but
that was quick on your mom's behalf and Evan's mom.
Right.
Oh my God.
And like Evan's mom is like like a 25-minute drive to my work. She was, it wasn't like it was like super close. So she's like, get there like right now. Like she's like, I didn't even know where your work was, like driving like a maniac. And so then I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, all right, Mom, I'm gonna leave work now. And then like I called her once I got home. Well, and Evan's mom drove me home. So, and then like I went into the office to get like my shit, like my laptop. So like, I'm gonna need it. Who knows when I'll be back? Like literally like in hysterics. Frenchie, one of my like best friends there, he's just like says anything. Like you're thinking it, no one else will say it. Frenchie will say, "What, did someone die?" I'm like literally screaming. Everyone else is like around me and they're like, all right, this is like, what is going on? Like,
It happened.
Like, they're like, and a lot of people like knew like how close I was. Like a topic of combo is my pap constantly. So like, they're like, oh my God. I'm like grabbing all my shit. Frenchie, who texts me later, I'm like, like,
Why'd you say that?
Like that's such a like a thing for him to say. Like doesn't mean it at all, but it's just like you gotta love.
Of course, that's
people
good.
that tell it how it is. But yes, I came home and then I flew in the next morning. And then Evan couldn't come with me because they wouldn't let him take off work because of like they couldn't like get subs in still at this point and everything done.
Oh God, yeah.
So I came home and then my dad picked me up and then that was it.
That's like as if the whole experience isn't like horrible enough. Like you describing her picking you up and like almost like being not bombarded, but because she was doing the right thing and what your mom wanted, just like, excuse me?
Right, like what? I'm glad that she was like, I can't, like, what the hell would I have done? Like, and my mom called her too because, like, no one was, like, half the people weren't even working in the office. They were, like, letting everyone do, like, the work from home thing, except for me. And, like, but that was the day that there was, like, people in the office, which, regardless, doesn't matter. But, like, my mom's like, I don't want you to be, like, she thought I was alone at work. And she's like, I can't let that happen. So, but, like, I'm like, ugh.
So that sounds like, even though like you knew he was not doing too hot overall, but like compared to your grandma, like
like at least I knew that she was like this. I'm like over the summer. I can't remember. Did I tell you this? Like, because he and I would talk about like, hey, like he said he could give me another good 5 to 6 years. So I never ever thought, like what? I thought he was gonna be like fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like had like health issues like that, but like nothing crazy. And then like what? I'm like, what the hell? You promised me freaking 5 more good years. And that's why I'm just like completely and like shocked that like not expected at all. My mom was like, if I would have known, like she's like, I would have like had you, because I was planning to see him at Thanksgiving. She's like, if I would have known, like I would, like I thought he had more time, because she was gonna take off work. Did I tell you that? She was about like that day she was about to like put in to like just stay with like what?
Timing is so poopy. Like, do you think? What do you? This is such a messy question. Like, what do you prefer? Like, knowing, or like a shock to the system? Because I feel like, I mean, my situation happened the way it happened, so I was like total like out of nowhere. Like it's not like she was sick, so I feel like I got the better end, where it was like you didn't have to watch someone go through like anything. I'm just going to use, which is a touchy subject, like someone going through chemo, like
Uh-huh.
watching that
Right.
happen, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you relive it every day and everything, but I feel like I got the better version because like it happened, like it's
Right.
done, the event is done.
Mm-hmm.
So like now what? Compared to like
Right. Having it like drawn out.
Yeah. And like my dad did it with his sister and his own mom, and I'm like, yeah, do that. Like, I don't get how you get up and go to work and
right. How do you even continue on? Like,
yeah. So I'm curious if you like, I mean, they're both horrible options. Like, and it's different too because you had more time, so you felt like you were with him. Like, I don't want either to happen. Like,
right. Yeah. It could go either way, honestly, I think. Like, they both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, I know.
That's so dumb, let's just like to say, but it's like, honestly. Because I would have been like really, really upset watching him, like at this level of our relationship, watching him suffer even longer. That would have like killed me even more. And especially if I knew that it was going to happen, like I would have taken off and like gone to live with him for a month. Like I can't get that time back.
Right.
Like he means like the world to me. So yeah, I would have freaking like taken off work. Like it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. Like that's more important to me.
Yeah.
But then, so it's like almost, well, he writes in the book, this is what he always said. The day you're supposed to be born and the day you're gonna die and there's nothing you can do about it. So just that's what's gonna happen. That's your like just accept that. That's what he always said.
He said that's like actually really good advice. I don't know if that's advice or just like a saying. I never heard it say
he's
that.
saying it like he's like quoting like the Lord says, he writes in the
shows how much
which is even better. You're like, oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, Aubrey and I don't go to church. That's a whole other episode. But
whole other episode right there.
Seriously, like I love that. Did he write that?
But yeah, I just I can't remember what we were saying now, but just kind of that definitely. I don't know. I still feel like it's weird from like time to time now, like especially like getting not nearly even settled here, but like it's just like I'm more like not by myself, like Evan's here, but it's like I have like space to kind of like like decompress and like think about things, pull things out that are like that I've been saving that were like his that I can like decorate and stuff with. So it's like okay, like it's starting, like it like feels emotional in the signs.
I'm gonna grab something that I'm the same way. Just in this room alone, and I don't have too many things. I mean, there's a very disturbing item that I have. My mom was wearing a watch during the accident. I'm not showing that, but this was these two were little Mary. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Mary. I don't know. We had these in her room at home, like where Dad lives. And for whatever reason, like again, I'm not religious, I believe, but I don't practice. It's not hating against, it's just whatever, whole other episode. For whatever reason, one day I was like thinking specifically of this statue, and like it has a sticker that's worn down or whatever. Sorry, I got spray paint from working outside.
Oh shoot.
But I was like, do you know where that like glass, like honey looking Mary statue is? Because it was always on her dresser in the bedroom. And I was like, I don't think you still have it up. Like, that's not Dad's native decor. So
Right.
it's like, if you find it, can I have it? I want it. And he also brought out this like little Mary statue, but I have it on this little CD rack. So it's like,
nice.
I never had it out in my apartment when I had it then, but it's like, just like you said, you're making it your space and you're putting things that I don't think anyone looking at a lot of these things would even be like, oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
It's like, oh, what? Okay, you're religious now?
But yeah, that's cool. You have that. And then it's like just having it out is like, it's just like being able to see these things is like, feels good, like therapeutic in a sense.
Yeah.
But here, this is like the only picture I have up so far. You have to tell me if you can see it, because this image right here, is it glared?
I got you now. Aww.
Can you see the bubblegum machine?
I can't see it from here, but is it the one that you have in your...
Yeah. This is like the one thing that I've always wanted, and now like I've had it like in a closet that I've never been able to use, like just waiting, and then so I have it up, and Evan's like, I like it.
Oh,
and
it's a good piece.
It is. I'm like, that is like, I always would remember that, like at their house, just in the living room, and then not the living room, in the dining room, but then for the last like few years he put it upstairs. I'm like, why? Like, bring it down. Like, I love that thing. He's like, to heck with it. Nah. But so the bubblegum machine. Oh, and then I'll take a picture, these little sugar houses that they've always had in their like kitchen. It's like flour, sugar, tea, whatever. But they're like really cute houses, and I've always loved those. They have 2 sets, which for whatever reason my grandma once told me, she's like, whenever she was sick, she's like, because I was always like, I like that, I love that. She's like, I have another set, like go upstairs in the spare bedroom and you can have it. So rightfully so, I have it. Okay. But it's funny because they're like old-fashioned looking, but the other night,
we both have old.
Yeah. Well, the best part of it is like I have them just like sitting on the counter, like thinking like Evan will be like, put that up on a shelf or something. He's like, I love these so much. He's like, I'm like literally obsessed with them. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just like love these houses. And I'm like,
those are grandma's.
Right. And I'm like, I love them so much. They're so cute. And then I'm like, what? You like that?
The viewer, did you stick around? We're at 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Oh my word. Well, we have to cut it out and be like part 1 of the episode, part 2.
So I hope you guys enjoyed and got something out of this episode. I don't think anyone's going to be reaching out for more details on specific things, but if you have questions, or just need to talk to someone, or need help with resources, let us know. We got you. And Helloha.
Helloha 20. That's a wrap. Okay, cut.